Today's Patreon shoutout is for Ye Old Knight. Zur versus Kurkesh, Rakdos, and Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. A 3-lander with some removal and auras, no ramp, but our opponents are going to be pointing all their removal at Zur anyway. We're up against removal colours, so yeah, we'll keep it. Kurkesh cycling a Forgotten Cave on turn 1. And we get into another land. We'll just play out the tap land and pass. Swiftfoot Boots being cast by Kurkesh. And we draw into another card draw aura in Curiosity. Throw down the Tundra and pass. Rakdos cracks Myriad Landscape. The mono red player casting Mere Welder. And we draw into a Time Spiral, so making some half decent draws here. Not going to play out the Zur because I think our opponents will just point the removal at it. We'll attempt to get down a Kaya's Ghost form on our commander next turn. The first spell from the black player is a Vile Entomber. That's obviously an Entomb with legs, so Vilis, Broker of Blood, being put in the bin. Probably going to be reanimated next turn, so it could be a Swords target. Rakdos just taps out and passes, surprisingly. Now seeing Kurkesh hit the battlefield, and the Mere Welder sitting back. That is a Polluted Delta for us, so might as well get out the Reliquary Tower before we are forced to discard it maybe. Or up against a couple of red players. Feel comfortable getting down the Zur as well because our opponents are tapped out here. And then like I said before, we'll protect our commander with the Kaya's Ghost form. Crick, Son of Yawgmoth hitting the battlefield. Earthquake where X is 1. Rakdos being played after that, so literally just playing the Earthquake so that they're allowed to cast their commander. Forsaken Monument from Kurkesh. And looks like we're managing to untap with our Zur. A Timely Ward is a good draw. Was going to go for a means of giving our commander indestructible, but don't think we necessarily need to now. Play out the Polluted Delta, which we can tap for black mana. So let's put Curiosity onto the Zur so that we can draw another card here. And then we could go All That Glitters, but I want to hold up Timely Ward and the Swords to Plowshares. So let's swing in at the Kurkesh player. That will trigger the Zur the Enchanter. And we'll just put a Curator's Ward onto our commander. That will give it hexproof. Zur lands a hit on our opponent, so Curiosity triggers. Alright, and gets us into a Sun Titan. That's decent if our opponents manage to wipe the board. It's not quite as likely against... We couldn't actually be up against better players when it comes to enchantment removal, actually. There are colourless means of getting rid of it, though, unfortunately. Aphotic Wisps. Target creature becomes black, gains fear, draw a card. Plus counter goes on Crick, and they paid the 2 life for that. Then transmuting after that will allow them to search for a 4-drop. Crick goes down to 27 life, and we see a Dread Return here. Obviously going on to the Vilis. They attack the red player with the Crick. That does have fear, so they can only block with the Mere Welder. The 2/2 Death Toucher going in towards Rakdos. Did not block with the Mere Welder. Neheb the Eternal into play now for Rakdos, obviously wanting to deal lots of damage to everyone. So in response to that, Vilis going to draw cards. They can pay 2 life into the black, and then 2 life into the ability, so 4 life in total to -1/-1 on something. And they'll draw a hell of a lot of cards in doing so, pointing the minus at the Rakdos. So they're going to make a bunch of red mana here because the black player just lost a bunch of life to himself. No doubt, yep, swinging in at us. So Rakdos is 5 commander damage onto us. We do have Timely Ward, so I fancy our odds of being able to keep the Zur. So I will take the damage here. I want to keep hold of swords for as long as possible. 9 red mana being generated by Neheb at the end of the turn. And it is Ulamog the Infinite Gaia coming into play. That is going to get rid of Vilis, Broker of Blood. In response, they tap down their swamp, but just paying 2 life into the Undying Malice. So yeah, with this Ulamog it is destroy as opposed to exile. So when it dies, return it to the battlefield tapped with a plus counter on it. And they'll go back up to 9 cards in hand. Playing Pathraiser Ulamog as well. Down to 2 cards in hand, and Eldrazi Devastator as well. They've only used 2 of the mana from the Neheb so far. Coveted Jewel from the mono red player. And a Forsaken Monument is going to give them 2 life to that. Thrill of Possibility is likely going to end the turn there. Discard and draw 2. They discarded a Mana Echoes, which would really help the Eldrazi player out, although they're at 2 cards in hand there. Swiftfoot Boots goes on to the Kurkesh. Obviously not much point in copying that. Oh no, it doesn't. It goes on to the Mere Welder, which suggests that this is part of a combo piece. They continue to hold back blockers. Let's get some more coloured mana into play in the form of a Triome. And we'll dump the Timely Ward on our commander as well. So now Zur is hexproof, indestructible and flying. A Thought Vessel for us to ramp us a little bit. Now, the black and the Rakdos player seem to be focused on each other quite a lot. I think there might be a board wiping coming, especially with the black player drawing so much. So, yeah, let's just try and draw as much as we can here. We'll go Staggering Insight on our commander. We can play in All That Glitters as well, try and start landing some real commander damage. So that bumps our commander up to an 8-1. We can go for double strike here maybe. No, actually, probably should have gone for the Thought Vessel first before the All That Glitters. That's annoying. Well, we've got the Reliquary Tower anyway, so we'll have an unlimited hand size. Continuing at the red player so that neither of these two concentrate on us. Zur obviously triggers, and I'd like to go for Battle Mastery to draw even more cards, but I think a more intelligent idea is a Propaganda. So yeah, we'll throw out the Propaganda here. That will make it so our opponent has to pay 2 for each creature they want to swing in with. No one really has all that much mana at the moment. And the creature they do swing in with could get a Swords to Plowshares on it. We steal the coveted jewel away from our opponent. Alright, and that's into a Robe of the Archmagi. So it could play and equip that this turn. We draw from the Curiosity, also draw from the Staggering, what is it called? Staggering Insight. Alright, so there we see a Spirit Mantle. So we might as well go for, we've also drawn Estrid's Invocation. So could do that onto the Propaganda, I think. Let's get down the Thought Vessel now. Still being able to hold up Swords to Plowshares here. And then go for Estrid's Invocation as a copy of Propaganda. So now it will be 4 mana per creature that wants to swing in our direction. 6 life being dumped into Vilis and a Promise of Power. They get another plus counter on Crick, and draw a bunch of cards with Vilis of course. They make a 20/20 Demon, as well as drawing up to 25 cards. They're at 14 life. Now playing out a Blood Celebrant, they can make as much mana as they like here, but it will cost them 3 per mana they make. And they're already down at 12, so we'll have to be vigilant looking out for combos here. Then a Prism Ring, so obviously naming black with that, that will gain them back some mana. Playing a Viscera Seer for 2 life, but they gain a life back. Playing a Dark Ritual to make 3 black mana. And following that up with a Cabal Ritual, they go down to 1 floating mana, so not wanting to put any more life into that apparently. They only get the 3 mana from the Cabal Ritual as well. Following that up with a Demonic Tutor. Then playing out a Grey Merchant of Asphodel, which will have them on 12 black pips, I think. So we'll allow it into play. Just like that, they jump back up to 43. There we see a Bolas's Citadel. Not sure if they've made a land yet. They're at 48 cards in the deck at the moment. 28 life. They're about to draw a whole bunch from Vilis as well. Okay, that's surprising. A Feed the Swarm. They're at 44 cards in hand. Feed the Swarm went on to the Kurkesh. Really tempting to Swords the Crick at the moment. We'll at least see Vilis triggers go on the stack, so they shouldn't be able to chain off too much from the Bolas's Citadel. Now playing a Night's Whisper. They are at 49 cards in hand. Of course, they get the Aetherflux Reservoir. I mean, they've only got 16 cards left in the deck, so that stands to reason. So now is the time to pull the trigger, and we'll go Swords to Plowshares onto the Crick. They've only got 6 life, so they could make a little bit of mana, but I don't see that it's going to be all that much use to them. They will gain 15 life to the Swords, unfortunately. And there is a black counter spell that costs 2 mana. There's one that counters a creature, and then there's one that redirects, I think, in black. Alright, so successfully getting rid of the Crick. They're at 21 life. We'll have to see how much damage they can do with Aetherflux Reservoir and Bolas's Citadel now. But this is definitely painting a target on their head. They've cast 12 spells so far, according to this. And just passing through to the attack step. It's noteworthy that I did ask for a casual game, so anyone who's wondering why this player didn't go for like a Doomsday combo there or something like that, I assume that, well, it should be a more casual version of Crick. The 9/9 Villis swings in at Rakdos, and you would think that the 7 Annihilator would be swinging straight back next turn, especially after that performance. So luckily for us, it looks like they are stuck with a land on top of their library. They go through to the end step, and they're at 69 cards in their hand, so it's going to take them a few weeks to discard down to hand size here. Alright, they actually managed to do that quite quickly, so I'll try and go through the list of cards here for anyone who's interested. We're looking at the vast majority of their deck. They go straight through to combat, so they can afford to swing in at us, but I mean, should they really be going in at us at this point? Well, they are doing. That is an 8/9 with trample, but the Annihilator's correctly going in at Crick. We get a 6/6 Rakdos Lord of Riots as well, and the Neheb. Yeah, that's exactly why I was holding up the Swords to Plowshares for the Rakdos player. They're obviously forgetting about the propaganda though, so alright, taking a lot less damage. Just swinging in with the Eldrazi Devastator. I think that would have been 18. Yeah, because these are 10 together. So paying in that 4 mana in order to deal 8 damage to us. And now the black player has to get rid of 7 permanents. Getting rid of almost all of their creatures there. They are holding back a Death Toucher at the moment. And yeah, sacrificing 3 lands to the Annihilator 3. So there's a 20/20 that can block this thing. And the Death Toucher might as well go in front of the Pathraiser. The coveted jewel will be stolen away by the Rakdos player, so that 4 mana that they had to put into the propaganda, they'll gain 3 of it back, as well as draw some cards. Oh, the Pathraiser needs 3 or more creatures to block it, so yeah, just throwing the demon in front of the Ulamog instead, they will take 9 damage. Ulamog obviously being indestructible, that's why they didn't throw the Death Toucher in front of that. 17 red mana by the Neheb. So I'm hoping we don't see a Black Sun Zenith here. They play Burnished Heart, which they'll easily be able to crack. This is 3 mana crack, and get a couple of basics into play tapped. They do that straight away. Then a Rapacious one, that's an Eldrazi Drone 5/4 Trample. It deals combat damage to a player, create that many Eldrazi Spawn. Never seen that one before. Okay, and the red player saying that he had a combo there. I'm not sure what it was, but didn't get the combo off anyway. So that's why he stuck it out through all this. Propaganda going to flicker, we'll have it come in as a propaganda. Okay, drawing into Mesa Enchantress. I think we're best going for Robe of the Archmagi here. And hoping that the black player can't do anything next turn. 7 in hand, 5 in the deck. If they've got a combo, then they'll likely be able to get it next turn. But I don't necessarily fancy my odds against this player either. So I'll play Robe of the Archmagi and try and draw into some answers for this player. Archmagi only being one to equip to a wizard, and obviously Zur is a wizard, so that bumps that up to a 12/15. It's about to have double strike. Yeah, I think it will be the double strike we go for here. That goes nicely with all the card draw. So I will swing in at the Rakdos player. They definitely don't have reach. They could have an edict effect, but yeah, we'll just hope that they don't. This is where you wish you had a means of some stacks to make it so your opponent can't cast spells during your turn. Yeah, anyway, it's the Battle Mastery that we're going for. Oh my god, I knew I'd switch off during that turn cycle. I thought, oh, you need to remember to put Spirit Mantle on your commander so you can actually get through. And I was looking for reach, stupidly, didn't look for flying. So, not going to draw a bunch of cards here. That is stupid. So in that case, let's just play out the Mesa Enchantress, and we'll show the Crick player that we don't have anything. Really should have got through for a whole heap of damage there. In all honesty, not sure entirely what I could have done with the 1 mana. Probably would have got into a land, so would have been 2 mana. Maybe could have got into Serra's Sanctum for a bunch of white. Yeah, maybe could have done something that turn. There's no combos in this deck or anything, so I was just hoping that we could protect ourselves. But yeah, that was silly not getting down the Spirit Mantle there. And we see a Night Haze. That is Swamp Walk onto the 20/20, and everything is a swamp, thanks to the Urborg. I mean, we each control swamps anyway. That was off the top of their library, by the way. They've got 3 cards left in the deck. There's a combo piece, Priest of Gix. So we may well have got into Path to Exile, drawing as many cards as we should have done there. We may well have gotten into it. And if this is part of a combo piece that our opponent's about to go for here, then we definitely would have been able to do something about it. Sacrificing that to Culling the Weak. So they float 6 mana, 2 cards left in their deck. Playing out Crick, Son of Yawgmoth. They are at 14 life, about to go up even more. Ending that at 19 life. Okay, the 2020 may be looking for some favour from the Eldrazi player. The 2020 swings in towards us, as does the 2-2. And then forgetting about the propaganda again, this has saved us on multiple occasions. So just swinging in with the 2020, I mean, you might as well swing in at the Rakdos player. Yep, propaganda saving us there because they weren't looking to get rid of us. So even though it was an accident, we inadvertently sent the black player in towards Rakdos. They take out Rakdos for us, and that clears the way for the victory for us. So actually turned out quite nicely, assuming that they don't still combo off here. Yep, they just decide to scoop it up there, so really big mistake by me, but might be that it panned out for the best anyway. Let's see, hopefully, what we were going to draw into in all of that. Alright, a whole heap of stuff there. Noteworthy, I think we would have had 2 mana held up, so it's languished on making the main thing being mana drain there. Would have been useful to us potentially. And yeah, not likely that anything else would have been all that useful to us. I think we might have drawn even more than this. But anyway, like I said, turned out for the best, even though I made a pretty big mistake there. If you enjoyed the video, then be sure to leave it a comment and share it with your friends, as well as considering to donate on Patreon. Link is in the description below. Massive thank you to those of you who do that already. I'm tribalkai. Thank you for watching.